Gentlemen, hunting season is over. You're tagged out and that buck you shot doesn't look big from any angle that you hold it at. But before you put your bow away for however many months, you should probably do these things before that happens. Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. This is posting the day after Christmas, so I hope you had a great Christmas. You better say it back to me. Shoot a comment down below what you got for Christmas. I love responding to comments, especially the ones that I get to troll, but hopefully there's no negative comments about Christmas. I mean, it's Christmas, come on. Today, as the intro suggests, I'm going over a couple things that as hunting season comes to a close, it's really smart to do with your bow and with your equipment, honestly just with yourself, to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success next hunting season. I know it's real easy to just set the bow down, put it in a case, and let it collect dust until next hunting season where you remember that you have a bow and you need to practice with it. So let's keep it short and sweet. Let's get into the 5 things that you should do after archery season, starting with number 1. Number 1 is probably the most important tip that you're gonna get in this video, but it's really easy to do, and honestly, it's gonna help you in the long run. And that is gonna be to subscribe to this channel. I'm sorry, I had to do it. Shameless plug, but in all seriousness, no, honestly, subscribing to the channel. We've been growing a ton recently. I'm very excited to see what these next couple months look like for the channel, and I want you to be along with it. So if you feel like it, if you enjoyed this video or any other videos that I've made, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and comment down below. I love responding to comments, whether it be positively or trolling some of the negative ones, which I really like to do also. Yeah, that's the fake tip number 1. Make sure you're a part of the channel. So let's get into the first actual tip of the video. These targets just eat my arrows alive. Before this, I had all but one perfect arrow on this, and now all of them either have fletchings coming off or just completely detached. So if I start shooting bad, it's because of these, not because of myself. It never is. The actual first tip of the video is honestly still really simple, and that's just double checking your gear. There's a couple things that can happen along the way in hunting season that you might not catch, or honestly you might not want to address during hunting season because it can kind of put you back. But go ahead and double check things that are just the obvious. I would shoot your bow through paper, double check your broadhead tune, make sure everything is still like checks out in that category, and then kind of do a cosmetic look over of your bow. Check your limbs, if there's any splinters or anything like that. Check your strings. Just double check that this bow is ready to go. If you do decide to put it away for, a couple of months and not shoot it, when you take it back out to get ready for hunting season, make sure that it's in good condition so you don't have to do any last minute changes. You guys will probably recognize this bow as the used bow that I did a couple videos back. Go ahead, check that out. I'll put a link to it up in the video. But for example, like this thing definitely is not gonna pass the sniff test when it comes to strings and cables. I'm getting new ones on this one real soon. Luckily though, I'm not gonna hunt with this thing, so it's just kind of a matter of wanting to make a couple videos with it in its true form before I put the actual like strings and everything on it, just seeing how good it can probably get by itself. I think that this also really kind of introduces the ability to start working on your own gear, which is a thing that can be a little scary, but simple things like this are really good, kind of like as a gateway drug to get into working on your own stuff. Fixing your tune, if there's something wrong with your strings or anything like that, being able to maybe reserve your string. Obviously, not everybody has a press, they can't change their strings out, but you can definitely switch the center serving, do anything like that, change out your D loop, the real simple stuff that I think you should know in order to keep yourself afloat during hunting season in case anything goes wrong, just kind of in the spur of a moment. So yeah, that's tip number 2, just make sure that everything is prim and proper. Let's get into number 3. Number 3 is real simple, and that's gonna be to not shoot your bow. And what I mean by that is, not put down your bow, not practice with it, but directly after hunting season, it's pretty easy to get a little bit of burnout as far as, you're hitting the stand, any free time that you have, you're up in the saddle, you're dipping and dodging back and forth, and going right into shooting your bow a ton is just not a real good recipe for, you know, being consistent and keeping just a good mental picture of practicing shooting your bow. Obviously with the holidays and everything, there's a lot of stuff to do. So going right into trying to, you know, increase your rep count on arrows and shoot your bow a ton might not be the most conducive thing to family, friends, just personal, anything like that. So taking like a good week to just reset and gather your thoughts as far as just like, you know, shooting a bow and wanting to get back into that mindset where you're gonna put a lot of arrows downrange and prepping for that. So that's really tip number 3 is, you know, kind of prepping and resetting so you don't burn out. And that's really important for going into tip number 4. A fletching is definitely gonna come off of this arrow when I shoot it. Yep. It either came off or it's real close to coming off because that thing was flying all over the place. I definitely need to use tip number 4 because I am feeling this in my shoulder today, putting these arrows downrange. And tip number 4 is real simple, and that's building back up your baseline. Look, obviously we all have the idea and the goal in mind of shooting during hunting season a ton, but then you get out of the stand and those post-hunt naps hit, and they hit way too hard. So it's pretty easy to kind of get lost in the sauce and not shoot as much as you should during hunting season. So your endurance is going to go down a little bit. Your ability to shoot tons of reps in a day is not going to be there. That's an accepted fact by most shooters, I feel like. All right, got to use the inside voice now, but obviously a lot of people try to, you know, keep their rep count up during hunting season, get a lot of arrows downrange, and it just doesn't happen, let's be honest. So getting into the off season after you've kind of reset and taken a little bit of time to really like get mentally right for shooting a ton, you need to start shooting a ton. Now, whether that is keeping your bow at the normal setup that it's at, or maybe dropping your weight down, or maybe you have a target bow that you shoot in the off season, anything like that is really important. Which, speaking of target bow, we got a couple videos coming with that. But getting a setup that you can put a lot of arrows downrange to get that volume back into your shooting ability is really important. So I would definitely recommend either bumping your weight down, getting a different setup or anything like that, and just getting your ability to shoot a ton back up to speed. But just shooting a ton doesn't mean that you're going to get better. Obviously reps are good, but if you have reps with intention and reps with a plan behind them, that's even better. So once you've started to shoot a ton, we can go into tip number 5, which is the final tip of the video. The final tip of the video is honestly pretty simple, and that's going to be to set a goal for yourself during the off season. Now, it sounds kind of corny, but at the end of the day, I mean, you do perform better if you have a goal in mind. You perform better if you have something that you're working towards and you're not just working aimlessly. So if you set a goal for yourself, like shooting a 300 or shooting just better at distance or whatever it may be, you need to reflect on that and honestly decide for yourself. But if you shoot with a goal, shoot with training in mind to get to that goal and kind of set it up like a roadmap to get to that point, it definitely helps you a ton. I look at it like if you're going to a competition, whether it be like a 3D shoot or something like that, or, you know, a competition outside of archery. Let's say you're going to like a bodybuilding competition or you're doing some sort of athletic event, right? You don't go all out 24/7 and just go 100% until you reach that competition. That's how you get burnout. But you definitely set it up and kind of ramp up in phases until 100% when you started is maybe 70% when you're just about there. And then you ramp up real hard, which typically for me, like July and August are the months, you know, pre-hunting season that I shoot a ton. My distances stretch out a ton, kind of like my level of shooting really stretches out. And then I back off just a little bit so I'm not super fatigued, I'm not super burnt out when I actually get to shooting during hunting season, but I'm able to shoot really good because I know that I have 2 months of training and 2 months of practice shooting at a really high level. So those close shots that I get in hunting season are a lot easier. And even some of those further shots don't seem as far because I've been shooting further than that in practice. So definitely ramping up your training for what you want to achieve and then maybe bumping it up a notch or two is a really good idea in this off season. So really, those are all of the tips I can think of, guys. I wanted to make a quick video getting out after Christmas, just being able to get you guys some content. Really, I hope your guys' Christmas was great. I hope you guys found these tips useful. Comment down below what you guys do after hunting season. If there's anything that you found just like gels with you and helps really, really well. But above all else, guys, I hope you have an absolutely blessed day. Thank you so much for watching, and you guys have a good one. We'll see you next time.